So here's the end result of this tutorial. I've just simply loaded in a SpaCy NLP pipeline that I've trained myself on my custom word embeddings. I'm using it to annotate this sentence. First of all, for the named entity recognition task, just printing out the entities. And then I've trained a separate pipeline for the part of speech tagging, but it's more effective if you train all of your tasks into one model. And I'm using that to annotate this sentence and output the tags. So the result is that it recognized Latvia as a geographical location, which is nice. As for the part of speech tagging, you get universal part of speech tags, which are coarse-grained, and then fine-grained tags and morphology. So simply, if you look at SpaCy's usage documentation, the blue, I've just trained this NLP pipeline thing here. They call it a processing pipeline. I call it a language model. That's fine, whatever. So you construct one of these yourself with a simple tool that they have in the quick start guide. You select the language you want because it assigns the language here. You're going to want to make sure that your language code is there correct, because different stop words exist in different languages and you want the tokenization to be correct. Select the things you want. The tagger is the fine-grained part of speech tagger. Parser, I'm not sure. Named entity recognition. You can see that they're just populated in there. You can literally write them in there manually and just specify the components for them. So you can then download that, and you're going to run this line of code here to fill it in with default values. As you can see, I've done that here. My language code for Latvian. I've also included the morpholizer because I am interested in the coarse-grained part of speech tags as well, so like noun, verb, so on and so forth. And for that, you're going to specify this component here. You can write it from this video, or you can look up what the component's information is. But yeah, just have that in there if you want the coarse-grained. So then whatever training data you have, mine is in the conlu format, you're going to convert to the SpaCy format. You do this through the command line interface. It accepts these kinds of formats. Then you also convert your word embeddings file to a SpaCy vectors file. It accepts a word2vec textual format, so basically the first line of the file describes the amount of dimensions and the vector and the vocabulary size. You can see the CLI command here of all the things you can do with that. And this will be the output path of that created init vectors. And you're going to want to link to that path in your config file under vectors. It says to put it under initialize, but I just put a path reference up here. You can also just specify during training with the path vectors argument. Then you actually train the model with your config file and specify the output of where you want this model to be saved. You're going to give it the training data, which is a .spacy because we converted up here, and the dev, which we also converted up here. And then you just find the model you created, give it the path, it will load it in, and you can use it for your NLP tasks. Optionally, you can also run the eval method with a test set, which is also a .spacy that you converted up here, and specify the output in two different formats. I chose JSON because that works for me. And you're going to want to specify the gold preprocessing argument. This evaluate will output different metrics based on the pipeline that you're training, but usually it's various kinds of accuracies of which tags it guessed right by percentage. And then for named entity recognition, it also gives precision, recall, and F1 score. I wrote my thesis on this, and if you want to see my results for the Latvian language, you can check that in the description. And there also you can find various Python language scripts that I wrote to do all of this, as well as this README here for more in-depth instructions of how to use SpaCy. So step by step, everything I did to create my language pipelines, and there's also interesting stuff like debug data and so on and so forth. If you have any issues or want help, you can visit SpaCy's GitHub. They are very responsive, usually respond within a day, and give very helpful feedback and more insight about how their library works. SpaCy is absolute magic, and I love it. I hope this has helped you.